Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Aaron Live, the show that we do once a month. We get to hang out with you guys right across YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And today's a special one because not only is it our 6th one, but we're also joined by a few of our team in our live studio audience. Say hi, live studio audience. Hey! There you go, right? There you go, they're real people. So we're excited. This is Aaron Live. We're going to get into this amazing show ahead of you. If you're new to this, make sure you are sharing this, making sure you are getting your friends on this. This is where we get to hang out live right around the world on social media and help you guys to be able to live by design and not live by default. So if you're ready, let's get rocking and rolling for the 6th, I believe it's 6, Connor. Is it 6?
It is number 6.
Sixth show, an episode of Aaron Live. We're back. Welcome back, Aaron Live. Those newbies that are joining us, you've missed out on 6 months of amazingness, so you need to go back and watch the other shows after this one. But if you're joining us for the first time, I'm Aaron Sansoni. I have done a huge amount of things over my time. Business 15 years, teaching people for 11, Australian of the Year nominee, Entrepreneur of the Year nominee, father, husband, I would say pet owner, but I don't own a pet. I used to own a pet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a sad story. Oh. Not for Aaron Live. Yeah, I know. And I get to run companies, teach people, and also do one of my most favorite things in the world is run our foundation, helping a lot of people in Australia here. So you're joining us. Thank you. Oh, there you go. See, I've got to pause for applause now. Shit, that's new. Pause for a golf clap, right? So we're excited to hang out with you guys, making sure, listen, we get to do literally this once a month. It's one of my favorite things to do. So make sure you are sharing this on your socials right now. Tag some friends that want to watch us along the way, because there is going to be some interaction as well as some Q&A, and I even answer some questions as well live on this show too. So make sure you guys are having some fun and you're interacting. I am not talking about Kim Jong-un and Trump on the show today, but I wish that I did. How amazing is that photo, right? So listen, Aaron Live, it is all about teaching you to be able to have the business that you want. If you're a business owner, you're thinking about starting something up, if you're already in business, whether you're in Australia, where we're shooting from in our beautiful studio in Melbourne, or whether you're from around the world, we're joined by lots of countries. I can see Instagram, following us, give us a wave on Instagram, and I can also see us on Facebook and YouTube as well. So a big show ahead, lots of segments, lots of fun stuff here at Aaron Live. And to begin the show, we're going to kick off with the first segment, which I call the Biz News. Yeah, you can give me an intro clap for the Biz News. That's all right. Got to teach the studio audience here, I tell ya.
If you're going to clap,
shit.
With the little. I
feel like at the end of this, we need to do the Oprah. You get a car. You get a car. Do you think we should do that, right? I like that. We should do that. If you want to be part of our studio audience, you need to write into us, and maybe we might not know what we're going to do, but we'll have a studio audience. studio@aaronsansoni.com. You can write into us. Good. Right. So the Biz News, right? The Biz News, right? We're going to have to get some more seats in here. So let's get on that. So the Biz News, listen, the Biz News, has been happening in the world of business. So many things I want to share with you guys. My ball's falling off this desk. So many things I want to share with you guys in the Biz News because many reasons. One, we're coming to the end of the financial year for a lot of companies here in Australia, and also we're mid-year. So when I talk today about the Biz News, I've got a whole bunch of things for you, but I really have got some things planned for you in the Mental Minute segment when I get to train you all about what you get to do around mid-year. So let's get kicking to the Biz News. My first story I want to speak to you about is an amazing company that I've actually been following now for a little bit. It's founded in 2015, I believe, about 2015, and it's called On The Go. So On The Go is a great little company. The young entrepreneur that owns that, Mick Spencer, 27 years of age, just got an investment, a 5% equity stake from West Farmers into On The Go. On The Go, these guys these guys do personalized merchandise, personalized t-shirts, personalized sports equipment. You know, we're talking jumpers, jackets, t-shirts, all that kind of stuff. Now, that's not a new concept, but what I loved about what these guys have done is they've really taken the technology to a new level, and they've just got an equity stake from Wesfarmers who are going to be using some of their technology as well, and that's pushing these guys up to what's estimated to be around the $10 million a year mark. So these guys are definitely one to watch and could be on my Crushing It segment at some stage in the future. But I loved when I saw this in the Biz News, because having investments in a company is not a new thing, but what I love about this is this is a great JV as well as an investment stake that Wesfarmers are going to be working with On The Go with their technology, and they're going to be white labeling them. So that means that On The Go are going to be getting a ton more business coming from all of the different Wesfarmers elements and different groups of companies. So it's not just about getting funding, but it's also about being able to set up a great JV as well. So being awesome in the business news, watch these guys On The Go and keep an eye out for what these guys are doing, including Mick Spencer, who's doing really great. So check him out, Mr. Mick Spencer. Number two, second thing I want to talk about in the biz news is that anybody out there that likes to have a self-imposed heart attack, allegedly, you might have heard of this place, McDonald's. So McDonald's are on a mission to obviously eradicate having 14-year-olds run the store, and so they've added self-order kiosks now right around the world. They're up to 1,000. They're going to be adding 1,000 a quarter over the next 9 quarters. In Australia, almost all stores now have this, and their pledge is to basically get rid of all of the front staff, really, if you look at the structure, over the next year or two. So this has been a huge change for McDonald's, and it's been very, and I actually want to speak about this in a moment around artificial intelligence and the growth of this, but this is huge, huge. I haven't been to McDonald's for a fairly long time, but I will admit, I went there about a month ago, right? But before that, I hadn't been there for a very long time, right? And I walked in there and I stood there and I didn't know how to order for a very long time. Has anybody else not known how to order before when they've walked into McDonald's before? And then because I remember what a 30-cent cone is, I asked them for a 30-cent cone, even though now it's, how is it, like $1.50 now, Connor? For like a 30-cent cone?
30 cents.
I actually didn't even know what it was called. I thought it was called a 30-cent cone. It's called something else, right? So I tried to order a 30-cent cone. But these kiosks now have got rid of a ton of jobs there. They're doing 1,000 a quarter is what they're going to be rolling out across the country. And it's already happening here in Australia as well, which seems to be one of their pilot places as well. So huge for McDonald's, one of the biggest companies in the world, second largest holder of real estate in the world. Huge in the biz news for McDonald's. Very interesting to see where they're going to go next as well. Third in the biz news, we've heard this thing is being created. I suppose it's been a bit of a tagline recently about the fourth industrial revolution when it comes to really AI and how that's going to start impacting workforces. And we're really seeing a big impact. But the reason why I want to talk about this in the biz news is because I really feel like there's two speeds of people right now. You've got people that are either on the front foot of technology and business intelligence and how it's changing, and there's others that have absolutely no idea how it's changing. So people always say artificial intelligence is always in the future. Now, if you've grown up like me, you remember was it 84? Was it 1984? Was that movie called 1984? Is that called 1984, Connor?
Yeah,
was that one, the futuristic one?
It's, based on a book, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And then they made a movie out of it. So listen, the future's here. Like, let me give you an example. Driverless cars. We've been talking about that for a long time. But let me tell you this. Driverless cars are going to be in Singapore by 2022. It is 2018, right? And in 2022, driverless cars are going to be in Singapore. The future is here. One of our investments, which we're rolling out very, very soon in artificial intelligence and business intelligence, is focused on this segment because it's such a growing segment. But listen, the fourth industrial revolution is here. It is here. It is artificial intelligence. And how does that affect the workplace? There has been huge amounts of papers and research done on this. You're about to see a huge shift. You're already seeing in some mining companies here in Australia, you're already seeing driverless trucks doing the runs. We're seeing a lot of automation across across jobs that can be menial jobs that can be automated, even to the extent now you're seeing a lot of automation coming across the financial services industry, giving financial services advice. This is not just for the jobs of wrapping something or a factory job. This is coming across everything. So this is huge in the business news, not just about one article. And the one article I'm talking about is the Fin Review, which was done recently by Ian Grayson. But we're seeing a huge shift now now. And the biggest thing that we need to understand about this fourth industrial revolution is that this is not something of the future, this is here now. And this I want you to watch with very, 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 very close eyes, especially if you're employed people, or especially if you have a company that you can look at your workforce and say what things are being done that you can create a system and process for, because really that's where the future is going to be happening, and it is already here. I even read an article recently today about Uber, Uber Skyports, is that what it's called? Uber Skyports? Uber Skyports. So you're going to be able to order an Uber on your phone and get a helicopter to take your Uber helicopter. Let me tell you something, sign me up. If I can get a helicopter around my life, I'm in. Sam, write it down. I'm in, right? The whole A-team, we're going everywhere helicopter, right? So listen, they're now meeting, the Uber flight team, they're now meeting here in Australia. They're coming down to meet in Melbourne and Sydney, and they're choosing what location to go for. So we all know that Melbourne's better than Sydney, and I've just lost all of my Sydney audience. But you know, they're choosing, to come out here and hang out. So this is really cool. Watch it, fourth industrial revolution, and we are living it. It's called the age of artificial intelligence. Big in the biz news. And finally, in the big news, biz news, not that sexy, but very practical. Big change happening as of July 1st in business here in Australia, and that is the GST changes. So if you're not aware of this, you need to be aware of this. As of July 1st, the GST is going to apply on imports that you are importing into Australia, that you are selling to somebody in Australia on imports under $1,000. Now, up until now, it's been over $1,000. You've had to pay the GST at the border, and then you'll be able to on-sell the goods. This is now for products as well that are under $1,000. So if you're ordering mugs that come into this Australia for $5 each and you're selling them on to a consumer, you need to pay the GST, which means you're gonna need to start charging GST as well. So definitely check it out. Business.gov.au has everything you need to do with that. But this is a big change. We've even seen Amazon make a change here in Australia to try and combat it as well. But I actually think they're probably doing it for more of a strategy for themselves to grow their Australian market. But GST on goods under $1,000. If you're a small business selling products and services online to Australians, you need to be aware of this now. That's it for the biz news. There you go. Next, we want to talk about one of my favorite things, and that is crushing it. Next segment, crushing it. Woo. Woo. Okay, so who's crushing it right now? This company, right? These guys have been around for only about 3 years, but I've been watching this company now for all of those 3 years, including the Series A funding that they got last year of $5.3 million. This company's been founded by somebody, I looked at that name and I said, I know that name, Jules Lund, and wasn't he on Getaway? Was it Getaway? Yeah, I used to love Getaway. What happened to Getaway? Is that still on? Is Getaway still on? It's not on, no. So Getaway's not on. So that was a travel show. So Jules Lund, so he founded this company, right? Now this is what I love. The company that's going to get my Crushing It award this month is called Tribe. Now, Tribe, here's what Tribe do. Tribe have created a beautiful system, and what the system enables you to be able to do is, what it does is it takes micro influencers and it connects those with people and brands that want to be able to promote their products. But what it does is you could say, okay, listen, I'm launching a new coffee brand, and you can say, hey, I'm launching a coffee brand and I want to connect with other influencers around the world that are already using this coffee. They can then post to you what they would say on their own personal site to promote your brand, what it would look like authentically from themselves. You can choose to be able to buy that space on their social profile or not. They actually post a whole bunch of people that you can choose from, and you can say, I want to choose these 5 people to all post an authentic post of them actually using our product, which I pay them for. It's a whole new level of a sponsored post, but it's done from a space of these micro influencers that are actually using the products and services. So people can bid to say, hey, I drink that coffee, or hey, I do that thing, I drink that water, I want to post on my social network of 5,000, 10,000, 50,000 people. You only have to have 3,000 or more likes on your profile to be able to do this. So I love it. I think this is a great concept. They're going to be pushing now right around globally, which is half of the reason they've done this Series A fundraise. But watch these guys. I like what Jules has done. done. I think Tribe are onto something. I like that they work with micro-influencers. That's amazing for people that have grown a profile in, let's say, a healthy living space, but they don't know what to do with that profile. You know, so it's a really, really good opportunity for them to be able to get paid for things that they post that they actually believe in. I think it's awesome. So they're definitely getting my Crushing It award. Awesome. Yeah. Crushing award. I've told, thank you, there you go, round of applause, see? We're gonna get it right. I'm gonna have to, let's get a light that turns on that says round of applause here. We need one of those applause lights. Let's do that. So our next segment, before I get onto this one, our next segment I wanna talk to you guys is our Mentor Minute. That's where myself and my former Aaron with hair will teach you about something. And this time, I'm actually really pumped about this because it's mid-year. I'm gonna be talking about what you need to do to pivot this year. But before we talked about that, and before we go to the Mentor Minute, we have a very exciting announcement, and the very exciting announcement is due to popular demand. Now, this is probably the most sought after, booked out, sold tour and event we have ever done. The Entrepreneurs Summit is back, and it's going to be happening in a couple of months. Give that a round of applause. And due to popular demand, I've got back some of the same keynotes that we had, and I've switched them around so you can come and see them in one of your cities as well. So if you missed out on seeing one of those last time, you can come. But listen to me, we've never had something sell out as quick as this. So here is what I want to show you, a really, really quick video before we get on to the Mentor Minute about the Entrepreneurs Summit.
Today's about getting the things that you're missing in your business and in your life to change what you want.
Every time there's another takeaways, another pickup, and a hell of a lot of momentum.
I'm definitely glad I came.
I'm feeling really pumped actually. I can't wait to get back to home and start, implementing some of the things I've learned today.
We are back, Entrepreneurs Summit. Let me tell you, that has been my favorite tour that we have done in a while. I was excited to do that thing. I got to hang out with Michelle Bridges. I got to hang out with Janine Ellis, Paul Holland, Dr. Lenica Cruz, Jared Carmen, and a bunch of amazing people. And it has got a life of its own. People are loving the Entrepreneurs Summit, and we've done everything we can to bring that back for the very last time in 2018. So make sure you guys grab tickets now. This is the very first time you're hearing about it. entrepreneurssummit.com.au. The website there is on your screen. We have launched super early bird tickets, which are starting from 2 tickets for $27. Amazing. Come and hang out with myself. Janine Ellis is going to be there. Michelle Bridges is going to be there. And I'm going to be releasing some new speakers soon. I've got some special ones I'm releasing too. So really excited about that one. Now, welcome back. We're about to kick into this section that we call our Mentor Minute. Right. Mentor Minute, and I promise there's no gin in there. Mentor Minute. Now, listen, mid-year, okay? So if you're in business right now, you're hitting the mid-year mark. What happens mid-year? You start to look at, all right, how far have we come from our game plan? What is working? What is not working? So I'm going to show you guys today what I do across my companies. Every single one of them, I sit down and I do what's called a pivot plan. So make sure if you guys are joining Aaron Live for the first time, you're going to take some notes because I'm going to give you some of the strategies that I use in my companies, and I teach some of my students as well in our boot camp events, as well as some of our mastermind students and my private clients as well. So listen, here is what I call the pivot plan. So when you're halfway through the year, which is where we are about now, and you can do this at any chance, you can do this monthly, you can do this quarterly, you can do this yearly. I like to do this majorly about this time during the year, and I call it my pivot plan. So what I do with my pivot plan is I ask myself firstly, what's working? One of the first things I want to ask myself is what's actually working. So what in your business right now is working? Are you doing a certain type of marketing? Are you doing a certain type of product launch? Are you doing a certain type of price rise or discounting? Do you have a certain person that you've hired that's really growing the business? Have you been doing a lot more social media and it's getting you present a lot more? What is working so far? It's critical that you start with this question for a couple of reasons. One of the first things we like to do when we're in business is sometimes say, oh my God, the sky's falling, what's going on? Business is gonna close down, this thing is gonna fall apart. Well, there might be some challenges, and you notice that I say challenges, not problems. There might be some challenges in your life and in your business, but if you start with what's working or a space of gratitude, for example, you're gonna tackle the challenges a lot better. So the first thing is what's working. So what's working? If I ask you to write down 2 or 3 things in your business that are working right now, what would you tell me? Are you doing really well at getting leads but you're not converting them? But we'll get to the not working in a minute. Are you doing really well at being able to convert people but you're not really getting the leads in you need? What are you doing well? What's working? Have you got a piece of advice that you've been implementing? Have you started to educate yourself more and it's making you feel better, which is then going out there and attacking it in the day? What is working so far in the first 6 months of this year for you? What's working? Because if we're going to create your pivot plan, which is what we're going to do, we've got to ask ourselves what's working. But also on the other side of that, you've got to ask yourself the question is what's not? So what are you doing now that's not working? Have you spent 6 months, I think the old expression is flogging a dead horse, is that right? Flogging a dead horse? We really need to update that expression. So if you're flogging the dead horse, right, which sounds very cruel in many ways, but if you're doing that, right, and something's not working, well then you've obviously got to stop doing it, but you've got to be clear on what it is. Sometimes you get so sucked into this bubble, and the expression is when you're in the picture, it's hard to see the frame. You get so sucked into something that you're doing that you don't actually stop, sit back and say, hang on a second, I'm marketing that and it's not working. Or I had one great product and now I'm doing 45 products because I thought that's how I need to expand it and it's not working. Or maybe if you did what I did, you started the business and you're doing really well and then you expand to so many businesses so quickly that everything starts to fall apart, which is what I did over a decade ago, which is some of the first failings that I had. What are you doing that's not working? Are you discounting it's not increasing your sales? What are you doing that's not working? Are you not hiring somebody that you need to be able to help you in your business? Are you thinking you know absolutely everything, you're not getting any mentoring, advice, and help like I did when I very first started? I'll be the first to admit that I thought that I knew everything until I lost almost everything and had to go and learn. What's not working? So the first thing is what's working. Second thing is what's not working. And the third thing is what do you need to take some massive and immediate action. MAIA. If you hung out with me more than 3 minutes, you'll hear of me talk about these things. MAIA, massive immediate action. So what do you need to do? Because if we're going to do a pivot plan, and a pivot plan is saying, well, this is the direction that we said we want to go in, but now we need to do this to be successful for the year. What's working? What's not working? And what do I need to take action on? What do you need to do that maybe is uncomfortable, but you've had to do it, even though you don't want to have to deal with it, whether it be taking care of that team member, whether it be going and trying that new strategy, whether it be going investing to something new, taking a risk you don't necessarily want to, but you know you have to, innovating, even though things are going really well, but you want to go and innovate. It's not just those people that pivot when something's going wrong. You ask Jack Ma, Alibaba, listen, this guy's now doing extremely well, one of the wealthiest people in the entire world. And why is he doing well? Because he says, one of his things, and I quote, that when things are going the best is when I make the most changes. When they're going the best. This is a guy that when the things are going the best, multi-billionaire, featured in my book Think Light, in fact, Jack Ma. And when things are going the best is when he changes. So listen, pivot planning isn't just because things are going well. Pivot planning is also when things are going not well and everything in between. You need to stop and have the ability as an entrepreneur to pivot to what's working for you. So I want every single one of you after our live today to sit down for half an hour and do your pivot plan. What are the things you need to pivot on to get you back on track or to keep you on that incline you might be on right now of success? What do we need to do to be able to pivot? And then what do we need to take action on now? Massive and immediate action. Not at some stage I'm going to do something. Action. Massive and immediate action. Very critically important. Now, then we need to plug this into a 6-month plan. So right now, in the month of June, for example, what do you need to do in June, July, August, September, October, November, December? What has to happen? And when you're going to do that, you've got to restructure that plan. If you've got a team, you've got to be able to sit down with all the people that are in your team, your departments. If it's just yourself, you've got to sit down and make a key action plan of what you're going to be able to do in every month and every week. You've got to lock this plan in, because if you don't, you're going to sit down, you're going to have some great ideas, you're going to write them down, you're going to go back to them, the same bullshit that hasn't helped you in the first place. So if you want to change, you've got to go, what's working? What's not? What do I need to take massive immediate action on? What's the exact plan that I need to get done? And then guess what you need to do once you've done your plan? Have a guess. Do it. Simple as that. Do it. Too many people talk about things and don't actually do it. This is literally what I use, whether I'm running a company that turns over 7 figures or whether I can run a company that turns over 0 when it's in an incubation stage. I'm always looking, saying, what can I do to pivot? What's working? What's not? What do I need to just get done and take some action on? What's my actual plan for the next 6 months or 3 months, whatever the planning process may be? Then I say, let's get going and let's get doing this. Chip away every single day at what we're doing. Now remember, at the end of today, I'm going to be doing a segment called Aaron's Advice, hashtag Aaron's Advice. So if you've got any questions, not just about that segment where I'm talking to you guys about pivot planning, by the way, do you like that? Let us know if you like that in the comments, if you like that idea of the pivot planning. But if you've got a question, save it for the end. You can type it into the box right now. Use the hashtag Aaron's Advice. My team are going to pick up on that. We're going to be answering some live questions, or you can email that in to studio@aaronsansoni.com, which is going to be at the end of today as well. So listen, let's recap. Today's Mentor Minute has been about pivot. You need, as an entrepreneur, to have the ability to be able to pivot. It's one of the biggest systemic problems with large professional organizations, which I've worked for and some of you might have worked for before. If they want to make a change, they've got to create like 45 different meetings and committees just to decide to change the toilet paper in the toilets. If you are an entrepreneur, you've got to make pivots and changes like that, and you've got to be game enough and brave enough to do that. So my pivot plan, this is what I do. What's working? Let's do more of it. What's not? Let's stop doing it. What do I need to take massive immediate action on? What's my 6-month plan? And let's get out there and I do it. Simple as that. That's been my Mentor Minute. Make sense? Good. Next up, one of my favorite sections, one of my favorite ones, WTF. But before that, remember, Entrepreneur Summit, if you're as excited as what I am, go and grab your tickets now. They're super early bird, 2 for 1, only $27 to come and hang out with me, Janine Ellis, Michelle Bridges, and a bunch of amazing people, and we're releasing new people as well. So make sure you guys are hanging out. If you missed it, here's a quick video for you.
Today's about getting the things that you're missing in your business and in your life to change what you want.
takeaways, another pickup, and a hell of a lot of momentum.
I'm definitely glad I came.
I'm feeling really pumped actually. I can't wait to get back to home and start, implementing some of the things I've learned today.
Welcome back. We're live in the studio. Welcome back to Aaron Live. We're getting better. We don't even have a sign that says applause. This is great. We're getting better. Guys, listen to me. Go grab those tickets. They will sell out. That legitimately sold out last time, well before the event. We even had a wait list. Do you remember how angry people were because they couldn't come? Yeah. We had a wait list last time of angry people that couldn't come because they procrastinated. They're $27, 2 tickets, super early bird. Go grab them. Get yourself sorted out. It's going to be in August. We're going to Melbourne. We're going to be in Sydney. We're going to be in Brisbane, and we're going to be in Perth. So make sure you guys are going to be there. 4 events, full day training, and it's going to be amazing. We do a really good job of helping you guys to be able to learn what you need to learn now to be great entrepreneurs. So this segment, I call this is also my favorite intro graphic. I call this WTF. Jackie Chan, one of the greatest people of all time. WTF. Now listen, this should be my WTF. I thought they were holding hands when I first saw the paper of Trump and Kim Jong-un. You can't go to that camera? Just want me to hold up for a long time?
Yeah, that camera.
Jesus.
That's why it's there.
He's on my pivot plan, let me tell you. It's on my pivot plan. Kim Jong-un, holding hands with, he looks very happy by the way. So does Trump. So that's not my WTF. My WTF this time is a serious WTF like it normally is, but listen. There's a lot of articles being written recently about franchising, and this is not just about one of them. I've got the Fin Review articles, I've got a whole bunch from even the Industry Association, we've got things that have been written on Forbes have talked about it, but a lot of stuff happening here in Australia, and my WTF is going to go to the franchisors right now, because here's the deal. One of the largest franchising groups, retail franchise group, RFG, these guys have Donut King, they've got Gloria Jeans, they've got Michael's. Is it Michael's or Michelle's? Michelle's Patisserie?
Michelle's.
Is it Michelle's? Yeah. Michelle's Patisserie, Brumbies, Pizza Capers. These guys posted an $88 million loss in the last 6 months, and they're set to close up to 200 stores. Listen. There's the biggest challenge that we're having right now. Aussie Farmers Group, these guys collapsed, 260 employees, 100,000 customers left in the lurch. We have some tough trading conditions right now for franchisees, and we've got higher rents and a whole bunch of issues. But here's the challenge right now. The biggest challenge is not the business model. Everyone keeps saying that the franchise business model is dead. That's absolute bullshit. I work with a ton of franchises, including one of the people that's been behind some of the biggest franchise success stories here in Australia and right around the world. The franchise industry is not dead. Here is the problem, and here is my WTF. Franchises are now focused on, and a lot of them are being focused on going out there and saying, if you've got a couple of dollars, you can buy a franchise. If you succeed, you succeed. If you don't, you don't. Franchisors need to step up their game. They need to understand that the only reason why they are going to sell a franchise and the only reason why they want to buy the franchise is because you've got to have what I call the split decision test, okay? If I'm standing there and I want to buy a coffee, if I see Starbucks or if I see John's Coffee, I've got to know that my consumers that most of the time are going to turn right to Starbucks and to the left to John's Coffee. That's it. That's the test, right? You can talk about they're going to get operations manuals, they're going to get processes and systems. Yeah, that's important. But if they're not going to make that decision to go to that other coffee store or that other supermarket or whatever it may be, then there's no brand value. But here's the problem. Most franchisors don't have A, an adequate marketing co-op fund, B, don't spend enough money. Ask yourself this question. How often have you seen in the last year alone on TV or social media advertising where the franchisors are really promoting things like going to a Donut King, going to a Brumbies, going to a Starbucks, going to a... We're not seeing the massive promotions that really should be happening for these guys. And if they say, well, we don't take a lot of fees from the franchisees, it's called a marketing co-op fund. You've got to create a structure that's going to work. If I'm going to buy into a franchise, I need to buy one that's going to get me that split decision test. That's going to get me to get more people to be able to walk into my store. So the challenge is this. Better co-op marketing funds need to happen. Franchisors need to spend more time building their brand so that these struggling people, I mean, we see these people struggling in Westfield, struggling with the overheads. Like I had Luke Bayless, Sumo Salad, great guy, loved what he did with Westfield, put them back in their corner when he threatened to be able to bankrupt 2 of his stores because of the rent. We need people that are going to be going out there fighting for their franchisees. You know, Janine Ellis, who I've had many times come and hang out with us, and she's actually coming and speaking at the Entrepreneur Summit, probably the 4th or 5th time I've worked with Janine because I'm so impressed with what she's done. Her biggest thing is she says, getting a franchisee is like a marriage. You have to get the right people. You know, we can remember back to lots of franchises that have closed down like that, because if you had a pulse and you had a couple of $100,000, you could buy a franchise. But that doesn't work. We have to have a good co-op fund. We've got to have revenues that are coming. We've got to make sure the rebates are not unfair. The admin fees aren't unfair for these guys so they can be successful. These people are putting their dreams into it. They've got their family that are trying to put their time and energy and effort into it. They're working thousands of hours that are not even getting paid for within their little franchise store. We need to do something. It is not a business model problem. It is a problem with how franchisors are viewing the business that they're really in. The business that they should be in is one to make sure those franchisees are successful, not through just lip service, but they sometimes, I think they look at them as business owners and they separate themselves as opposed to thinking of those as employees. If you had employees that were running a store, what would you do? You'd be giving them more training, more motivation, and more time to be able to look after them. And that's what's not happening across a lot of franchisors at the moment with their franchisees. And I get that because I hear it from the franchisees that are coming to me saying, Aaron, help me rescue my business because I'm not getting the support that I should be getting from one of the franchisors that they're working with. So listen, the WTF goes for the franchisors here in Australia. This is a $170 billion industry. $170 billion, that's a lot of money. $170 billion industry. And right now, we've got some of the biggest that are closing down, that are having massive issues because they're not getting the support. What, you telling me people don't want to buy food anymore? Of course they do. You know, but we're finding a different approach. McDonald's is now just making sure that they've got the home delivery service coming into play in America because people still want to buy McDonald's, don't know why, but they want to do it and they want to be able to deliver to their home. Less fucking calories. Get it delivered to your home. Good job. Why don't you walk for your Big Mac? You know what I mean? So what we have to understand is this. Franchisors, you get my WTF. Because you got to step up your game. You can't just sell a franchise and say, you know what, here you go. Here's the box. Here's the manual and go for it. You need to treat those people as if they're your staff, even if they are business owners, and they will love and appreciate it for it. And if you start to, yes, some of these franchisees, I'm sure that people like Janine and others that run great franchise businesses do have some people that don't work out in the system. Of course they do. But we need to see a lot more people stepping up to help with these people to be able to be successful. There's a lot of businesses that are struggling right now. We're talking about mental health issues, financial health issues. We're talking about a lot of issues happening in franchisees right now because we're not getting the backup from franchisors. So I don't think it's a model problem. And a lot of people have been saying, oh, it's a model problem. The franchise system is dead. It is not dead. It's how you run it. It's like saying hiring a team doesn't work. It doesn't work if you don't know how to run the team. If you know how to run the team, it can be successful. If you don't, it doesn't work. Franchisors need to understand that they have a due diligence to these guys to look after them. The business model can work, but it needs to change. And what needs to change is, number one, they need to start treating those franchisees as they are a team. They need to provide better motivation, better training, better skills, and create systems that are going to be a win-win. Or else we're going to have a lot more problems when it comes to these franchisees that are struggling out there, that are putting all their life savings into spending $500,000 on something that's going under. So that gets my WTF. And I want to see something change. Absolutely. They got to change. And that's one of the reasons why I've got so much respect for Janine, because I love what she's done with her business boost. And that's the reason why I've got her to come back at eSum this year, Entrepreneur Summit, which we've just spoken about as well. That gets my WTF. Yeah, you like that one? Franchise. Next up.
Oh, yes.
Love it.
The other side of the coin.
The other side of the coin. I dropped my ball.
Spiteful man.
I'm not a spiteful. The other side of the coin. Now listen, this is interesting. I like this one. Hi Instagram. Hi Facebook. Give us a wave. Hi YouTube. Give us a wave. Make sure you guys are there. I want to know you're there. This is interactive. Make sure you're there. You got some questions so far? Post them in. By the way, tons of questions have already come in on the email address. So make sure you guys are emailing, or you are posting your questions in with hashtag Aaron's advice, so you get those answered, because we have a chance for a couple of those at the end. A lot of waves happening there. Hi waves. I can see lots of waves in there. Good. Good. Good waves. No fingers up. That's good. So all right. Here's my love it. Here's my love it. This love it is one that I actually really love this one. April 12th, Rashan and Dante, two 23-year-old African-American men in Philadelphia Starbucks were waiting for a business meeting to talk about a real estate project. Starbucks employee called the police after both of them were asked to use the restroom, but they hadn't made a purchase yet. In agreeing, what actually happened was these guys were kicked out. Okay, now they were agreeing not to file a lawsuit for many, many reasons, because there was racial profiling, because there was many things that were done wrong, and admittedly wrong, by this Starbucks. But here's what I love about this situation. These two amazing young men at 23 years of age, they decided not to file a lawsuit against the city of Philadelphia, but instead what they decided to do is they won a settlement of $1 if the city agreed that they would invest $200,000 into supporting young entrepreneurs. So what they did is they turned their challenge, where they were kicked out of a Starbucks for whatever reasons that person might have thought, when they were sitting there doing a business deal as a young entrepreneur at 23. And that $200,000 is going to fund a pilot program for public high schools who are interested in entrepreneurship and development. So these guys donated all of that money, and they made the city do this, and they're going to serve on the committee to help these guys to be able to create a grant program for young entrepreneurs in the city of Philadelphia. And the city mayor, Jim Keeney, said that both of the gentlemen were approached by the city and invited to be partners in that program and to create something positive out of this. These two young men, Rashawn and Dante, absolutely get my love it, because they didn't look at a situation and say, what's in it for me? They said, we're entrepreneurs, we want to help other entrepreneurs, and create a $200,000 program to support entrepreneurs in Philadelphia in the high school system. So I love what you guys have done as entrepreneurs. They get my love it. They get my love it. Well done. I love that. Excellent. Well done. Excellent. So listen, next up, we have what we call Aaron's Top 10. Top 10. So every single month, I try and look at my top 10. I look from different places that have posted about top 10s and different places that are talking about it. And I love this one because this one was in the Business Review. And this top 10 that I'm dedicating this show to is called the 10 Big Players that Committed Brand Suicide. These guys that made some pretty big fuck ups. Let's talk about them. Number 10. Number 10. Atari. Some of you have no idea what an Atari is. I do. I've got a youngster audience here.
I played this
Young,
Atari.
don't lie, don't lie. Don't lie. So Atari, right? Don't lie. I tell you what. Here's a test. If you know what game did you play on Atari? That'll tell you. What game did you play on Atari? And don't say Sonic the Hedgehog. All right? That shit wasn't around.
Hey guys.
So Atari, right? Here's what killed Atari. They put a huge amount of money into creating one of their first big games, which was E.T. E.T. Some of you guys haven't seen E.T. Extraterrestrial. E.T. Now this game was terrible, got terrible reviews, did terrible things, and no one loved it, and it almost bankrupted the company. So they get how bad. What would you do in E.T.? Right around the basket?
It's
The basket.
bizarre. Like you're
The basket.
You're running around.
What would the game be? Like what would just trying to get away with the alien?
Trying to run away. It's weird.
Number
It's
10.
bad.
I don't like it.
They literally buried all of the copies. In
I
the
don't like
desert
it.
somewhere 'cause it was so trash.
They buried all of the copies of it in the desert.
Yeah.
How amazing is that? We hate this so much. We want to put the past behind us in the desert. Love it. Number 9. This goes to a company which was called Circuit City. Now, Circuit City, a lot of our Americans jumping on right now know this. Now, here's what I love. Circuit City were massive, right? These guys were massive. This is about 11 years ago, I think. About 11 years ago, these guys were around. They said, hey, we want to cut costs. We want to cut costs, right? So we're going to go and fire our most expensive staff members, and replace them with junior staff members that are cheaper in order to save on money. They fired 3,400 of their highest paid workers to replace those people with cheaper staff. And they did. They replaced them with cheaper staff. Challenge is this. When they replace them with cheaper staff is that 60% of their revenues came from their brick and mortar stores. So people will walk in the next day saying, hey, can I get some help on this thing? And they're going, oh, I don't know, I've just joined, I have no idea. So then they're walking out. So their sales plummeted because no one knew what was going on, even though they had cheaper staff members. Sales plummeted, and by early 2009, a year or so later, they were closed. Stupid move. You want to save money? How about you look after good staff members and save money somewhere else? Might be an idea. Number 8, the XFL. The XFL was a highly televised sports league. Some of you might remember this. I don't, and it's on this list, so you probably won't. This was where football was combined with professional wrestling.
Now,
That sounds like AFL to me.
I feel like,
yeah.
I feel like there's some clarification needed there. I think it was there was a channel that had wrestling and football.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't wrestling.
Oh, it wasn't the same thing together? All right, so maybe it would have done better if it was.
Yes.
So these guys were, this was a station doing both, but these guys were working with NBC, they were working with all the primetime stations, WWF, and they tried to set this thing up over 10 years. They spent $70 million as a loss, didn't make any revenue, and closed, didn't work. $70 million. Number 7, brands that committed bad suicide. Hummer. Who's had a Hummer? You had a Hummer? Let me know. Hashtag Hummer. So Hummers have got to be, look, listen, I thought the Bentley was bad. This Hummers, how do you market an SUV that easily guzzles everything? The ozone, people, young children, I don't know, you know.
Nobody
So
knows this.
after 18 years, the Hummer closed the brand because GM was trying to sell it, but they couldn't sell it. They tried to sell it to a Chinese manufacturer. They were about to, because the brand was very much about being the beast of a car, not being economical and not being environmentally friendly. They were about to sell it to a Chinese manufacturer. The Chinese government closed it down. The Chinese government closed the deal down. That's bad then, right? On environmental grounds, these guys closed down, and Hummers are no longer. If they just merged with Tesla. Can you imagine? A Tesla-based Hummer. That'd be nice. Number 6, pets.com. That's a good domain name. I don't know why they stuffed up. Launched in 1998, pet supply store. They went public in February 2000. Hugely expensive marketing effort to do it. The challenge that they had and what they did wrong is that they overvalued the company. This has happened many times when people go to do an IPO, is when they get to start looking at the valuation of the company when they take it public. People then go to buy the stock, and then it starts to settle at what the market said that it's worth. Now, when you overvalue, we've had big mistakes here before. I think we had the same issue with McGrath here in Australia that did it, and a few others that have done it as well. These guys overvalued it, and they were trying to raise $300 million just to break even. They couldn't get anywhere close, and they folded very soon after. Number 1 mistake they made was overvaluing when they went for an IPO, and probably IPO too quickly. IPO a company within a year and a half is a very quick IPO. Terrible. Number 5. Another one for my older audiences, not the guys that are in the room. The DeLorean. Oh, you might have known DeLorean. Come on, Back to the Future. Who's not seen Back to the Future, right? So back to the DeLorean. These guys produced, the DeLorean was produced, but the problem is that they said that it was a really expensive price tag, the poor quality of the production, and all the other issues, including the founder of the DeLorean, John DeLorean, who was arrested for smuggling $24 million worth of drugs, cocaine, across the border, which he said was to save his company. There you go. So these guys had to sell 12,000 units to be able to break even. They sold 6,000 units, and he was selling it all through. Ultimately, he was acquitted, and the DeLorean Motor Company was not lucky because they went bust the next year later. So he was arrested for it, acquitted,
So he was
and
acquitted.
he was acquitted.
So
yeah.
the defense, no, it's to save my company, actually worked.
Do that. I want to be a drug smuggler. That's just I don't know, So it was all alleged. It was acquitted, and there you go. But here's the funny thing for DeLorean: they resurfaced. 2016, they started to produce. DeLorean's back into production. You can buy a DeLorean again. They reproduced it 2016. Yeah.
Is that one of those things that's come back just?
I'll tell you, it's only because of Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. It's only because of Back to the Future
If
that
they
they no.
break even on ironic sales, that's amazing.
Exactly, I know, that's their plan. Number 4 of the big brands that committed brand suicide. Listen, 4 was Polaroid. These guys were the all-time leader in instant photography. What they did wrong is a very similar mistake to our friends at Kodak, and focused on the R&D said that they should be focused on digital. They said no one wants to focus on digital. Everyone wants to be big photo frames of themselves and photos of their family, and they made a decision not to focus on digital, and subsequently they made the biggest stuff up of all time, and they closed. So these guys got stopped, the camera production stopped in 2017 to 2007, and then they stopped producing their film in 2009. So bad decision. Sounds very similar to a Kodak that wanted to do the same thing. Number 3, big mistakes. These places are called the Sharper Image. The Sharper Image. Now, these guys in 2002 were starting to produce, it was like an air conditioner purifier type machine, right? And these guys were producing it. However, after inspection, once it was released, there was a libel case against them because what they were producing into the ozone was toxic gases that seemed to be not really purifying, but pure killing people. Allegedly, allegedly. So they had a ton of lawsuits, and they lost a ton of sales, and the company went into bankruptcy in 2008 after all of those cases against them for people getting sick when they were using the, can you imagine that? Like, I want some fresh air. Oh, hang on. Yeah. There's green gas coming out of this thing. You know, this is not as fresh as I want, right? Number 2, we all know these ones. Number 2, these guys, Borders. And it was very sad when these guys went out of business, although a very flawed business model where a lot of people just went in, looked around, read the books, and went without buying anything. So they went down. They tried to go up against Amazon when Amazon did the Kindle in 2007. They released, the Barnes & Noble released the Nook, NOOK. Obviously they did that, didn't do very well. And then Borders said, we're gonna do it in 2010 doing the Kobo. I actually had a Kobo. Not that I knew how to use it or use it very much, clearly, because they've gone down. But they had this. So listen, this company, I love Borders, but the company, through not changing and through making terrible mistakes, not knowing what they are as a business and focusing on that, these guys lost $900 million over their 5 years of straight losses before they closed down. That is a lot of money. Borders get my number 2 spot in brands that make, the Borders could have been so good. Borders could have been so, if they just changed their business models, they could have beaten Amazon easily that game.
I would just like to point out something. Notice the Borders going out of business sign is identical to the City one. That's
so the person that's doing the sign was making a fucking truckload of money.
Going out of business out there.
There is. I like it. I like these guys. So the last number 1 spot. None of you would have heard them, but it's an important story. Number 1 goes to Brex Minerals. Now, this is in the early 90s. Some of you that have done some research around this might know. Brex Minerals. These guys, they're a Canadian-based company. They wanted to raise capital. So one of the people in the company allegedly decided to go out there and say, we found gold in one of our mines, and it's going to be probably worth about $6 billion. So they went out there and they did a huge capital raise of multiples of billions of dollars, over $2 billion. And then apparently the person that found it supposedly fell from a helicopter and was eaten by animals. This is a true story. So speculation began to swirl that maybe that didn't really happen, maybe he just ran away. And the gold deposits were hugely overestimated, as it turns out, but where they actually said there was gold was none, and the company collapsed and $2 billion of investor loans were lost. It's one of the biggest investment scams of all time. $2 billion in Canadian history. They lost $2 billion. Investors lost it after they said there's gold, there's not gold, but the person that found it's been eaten by animals, so we can't prove it anymore. So they get, my biggest mistake is pretending that there was gold. Number 10, that's my top 10. Top 10. Right, I love that, top 10. Now it's time for us to do what? Questions, Aaron's advice. You got a question on Instagram, or on a bunch have been emailed in, or on the questions on Facebook. It is time for me to answer your question. It could be about something I've spoken about. You want to talk about the Mentor Minute, or it could be anything else in your business at all. Go and do that. Go and do that. A lot of questions are coming through. A lot of people saying they've already grabbed their tickets. Awesome. Go grab your tickets as well. Remember, entrepreneurssummit.com.au. Go grab them 2-for-1 tickets right now on Super Early Bird. All right, questions, Mr. Connor. What do we got?
While Luan is double checking that Instagram feed, we have a couple here. We've got, I am afraid to pivot and change.
Who is it from?
This is from Dennis.
Okay.
Dennis says, I'm afraid to pivot and change. What if things don't go well when I pivot and I can't go back to where I was before?
Okay, so you need to play the worst case scenario that I like to do. What's the worst that could happen? What is the worst that could happen if you pivot? What's the worst that could happen if you do a bit of a small pivot in the way that you're talking about? What's the absolute worst thing that can happen? I mean, a lot of the time we overestimate the worst case scenario. You know what I mean? Like we get like a little pimple here and we go, oh my goodness, it means that I'm gonna break out in some kind of hive. Or we bump our arm and we think it's gonna be broken. Or we have a customer that, that says to us, I don't like, your product, and we think, oh my gosh, everyone doesn't like it. We overestimate absolutely everything. So listen, if you are scared or worried about pivoting, the reality is that I find sometimes when you're about scared about making change, that's what's called your growth edge. And that's that point you need to push past because you found a blind spot, you found something. If something makes you scared about making a change, then what that tells me is you don't make enough changes. And if you don't make enough changes, you're gonna be falling into a problem, Mr. Dennis. So I would say you need to follow those processes. And remember, you're not saying you need to stop everything you're doing and do something different. I'm saying find the little things you can pivot on and start to make those changes. But if you're afraid to make a change, then in the 21st century as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, that can be a big problem. So I suggest you just do it. MAIA. Hope that answers your question as well. Love it. Next.
All right, next from Jade Fam on Instagram.
Hi, Jade. Is that our Jade Fam? Hi, Jade Fam. Is that Rookie of the Quarter, Jade Fam? Hi, Jade Fam.
Fans here, Jade. What's your advice for brick and mortar stores?
To survive, I absolutely believe that there is a future for brick and mortar stores. I think that they need to integrate very well with creating tribes online. I think they need to make it easy to be able to purchase products and services from their stores online. So it's not just about being in there. But I think ultimately, if you want to make people come and see you in a location like a store, you need to provide a greater service, and you can't just compete on price. I mean, let's think about this really, really basically. If you want to go get your nails done, I don't care how good online stores get, unless you can put your hand through that screen and it comes out done, they're still gonna have to come to you see a store. Unless you can put your hair inside the screen and it's gonna get cut, they're still gonna have to go to a brick and mortar store. But if your business is focused on selling goods and services that they can buy online, and listen, Amazon's gonna change the game. I'm sorry to say it, it's gonna change the game. If you sell pens online in a store, and you sell them even online right now in Australia, well, you can get this highlighter for 10 cents in America, and it's gonna be coming from Amazon America. You can get this in Australia for Officeworks for a fucking rip-off price of $45 for a highlighter, right? So listen, it's gonna change. But if you have a service or something that can't be replicated online, you just still need to keep building your brand out, growing your tribe. But also, if you've got, like Jade, I know you're in the beauty business, if you've got people that love the nail color that you've got and you're selling them in the stores, we'll create that tribe, get the online store that can purchase from and say, hey, I see that you've got that, you've had your nails done, Sam, 2 weeks ago. Did you want to get that top-up collar? You can buy it now, or you want to come back into the store and book now to come back in. So you've got to start integrating a lot of artificial intelligence, but also integrating your business with the online model as well. But I do not believe brick and mortar stores are going to be extinct. I think they're just going to have to pivot. That was my pivot motion. Do you like that?
Yeah.
Pivot. You have to pivot.
That full circle.
Good question. Next.
A follow-up question from Jade says, what sort of marketing strategies can we implement if we're wanting more brand awareness?
I think what you're doing is perfect. So you need to be growing your brand. You need to be becoming more of an influencer, creating great content and great perspectives of what you're doing. I think you need to be authentic. I think you need to be yourself. And I think you need to fuck the naysayers.
Sweet.
There you go. Does that help you?
Poetic even.
Poetic.
And we've got a question here from Jennifer. Says, what would you do to recover from shooting yourself in the foot? Like
I was gonna say shooting yourself. Yeah. I'm like, this is not Dr. Phil, right? Shit. What's the guy's name? Dr. Oz. That's the guy, the actual doctor. He's an actual doctor, isn't he? Dr. Phil, obviously.
Dr. Phil, I don't think, is he?
No, he's like a psychiatrist doctor. Yeah. Like a PhD doctor. Okay. Don't knock them. My wife's doing a PhD. Don't knock them. Be careful.
What would you do to recover yourself from shooting yourself in the foot like those companies in your top 10? For example, with Circuit City, what cost would you cut without actually, killing yourself, I suppose.
Look, one of the things you can definitely do when it comes to cost cutting, one of the easiest things to do is shop stuff around. So like all of your subscriptions, electricity providers, all those kind of, your phones, shop them around. Shop those basic essential, that all stacks up. Shop that stuff around. One thing that I meet some companies that go into a bit of a crisis, and the first thing to do is like, oh, let's not stop spending money on marketing. Let's stop spending money on, let's stop spending money on things that are actually working. Listen, if you've got a piece of advice that's helping you, if you've got a person that's helping you, if you've got a piece of marketing that's helping you, if you've got an expansion that's helping you, then it doesn't matter if money gets tight, you don't stop those things. You go and find the money to keep those things going. So for you, when it comes to that situation, the first thing you can do is shop around things like your utilities, things that you can do, and look at the things that you can cut, that you can trim the fat, but that doesn't mean you trim the things that are working really well for you. So I don't think you need to do that, but I think you need to definitely shop around some of those things. Call up your phone company, call up your internet company, or get one of your team to do that and see if you can shop around those costs. Absolutely.
All right.
Cool. Love that. There's a lot more there, but we don't have a lot more time. We have to head off. So guys, listen, I love that you hung out on YouTube. I love that you've hung out on Facebook. I love that you've hung out on Instagram, and I hope you guys have taken a lot from that. So listen, make sure you tag people in this, post in this, but more importantly, if you want to see me in the flesh, you want to see a whole bunch of my experts and the famous Janine Ellis and Michelle Bridges and some more people are releasing, get onto it now. Go grab your tickets for the Entrepreneurs Summit Tour, entrepreneurssummit.com.au. Go grab your tickets. This is the first time we're talking about it. The rooms are limited with their space. Last time we had standing room at the back and we had a huge waiting list in every city of people that couldn't come along because I've made tickets ridiculously cheap, 27 bucks for 2 people. So go grab them now, bring a friend along. We're gonna be touring for the last Entrepreneurs Summit of the year. Is going to be in August, and it's going to be in 4 cities: Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Perth. It's going to be myself and a bunch of amazing speakers, and just really helping you guys be able to grow. Can't wait to do it, bringing back some of the people that would kick butt last time, like Michelle and Janine, who are going to be switching around cities. So if you came last time, come back to your city because you're going to have a different speaker this time around. We're pumped and excited about that. So listen, why do we do Aaron Live? And why do we do the Entrepreneur Summit? Is because we want to help you to be able to live by design and not live by default. That's the reason why we do what we do. I hope you guys love the show today. Did you guys love the show? This has been Aaron Live. I will see you on tour at the Entrepreneur Summit in August. Ciao.